Hi, you four, and welcome to Volcanic History. We are going to be looking at the 11 most powerful and destructive volcanic eruptions that there have been. You're going to have to bear with me because some of these volcanoes are quite difficult to pronounce, so I'm going to do my very best. I've been looking on Google Translate to try and practice them, but I might not be able to say them all properly, so you'll have to forgive me. You could maybe practice and see if you can do a better job than me. So what we're going to look at are the 11 most powerful volcanic eruptions from the last 4,000 years, because this is within human records. It doesn't mean that there haven't been more powerful ones. It probably just means that they haven't been recorded. So we're going to look at them in their order of strength from the most powerful to the least powerful that have been recorded. So the power of eruptions are measured in using the volcanic explosivity index, which is the VEI. And the scale goes from 1, which is the most mild eruption, to 8, which is the biggest one. We're going to be looking at eruptions that are between 8 and 6. So the biggest one at 8 is Yellowstone. And this was actually 640,000 years ago. So it's outside this 4,000 year bracket. The entire Yellowstone National Park is an active volcano, and this is in North America. And it has erupted with magnificent strength. So there's been 3 magnitude 8 eruptions as far back as 2.1 million years ago, 1.2 million years ago, and most recently 640,000 years ago. Together, the 3 catastrophic eruptions expelled enough ash and lava to fill the Grand Canyon. I'm not sure how they know that it erupted 2.1 million years ago, but somebody's obviously found recordings of it somewhere. Okay, so next in, we have Mount Tambora, which is in Indonesia, and it is on the Sumbawa Island. And this was in 1815 that this was recorded, and it was a number 7 on the scale. So the explosion of Mount Tambora is the largest ever recorded by humans. So it's a super colossal eruption. And the volcano, which is still active, is one of the tallest peaks in the Indonesian archipelago. The eruption reached its peak in April 1815 when it exploded so loudly that it was heard on Sumatra Island, more than 1,200 miles away. The death toll from the eruption was estimated at 71,000 people, and clouds of heavy ash descended on many far-away islands. So it was a significant eruption. Next, we have Mount Vera, which was in approximately 1610 BC, and this was a number 7 on the scale. Now, geologists think that the Aegean Island's volcano Thera exploded with the energy of several hundred atomic bombs in a fraction of a second. Though there were no written records of the eruption, geologists think it could be the strongest explosion ever witnessed. Next, we have, here we go, Chiang Shan volcano, and this was in 1000 AD. And again, this was a number 7 on the scale, and it's on the border of China and North Korea. The eruption spewed volcanic material as far away as northern Japan, which is a distance of 750 miles. The eruption also created a large caldera, which is when the top of the volcano implodes, which was 3 miles across and half a mile deep at the mountain summit. And it's now filled with waters, and it's called Sky Lake. The mountain last erupted in 1702, and geologists now consider it to be dormant. Okay, next we have Ambrim Island, which erupted last in 50 AD, and it was a 6+ on the scale. It's an island east of Australia. So the 257 square mile volcanic island is part of the Republic of Vanuatu. which is a tiny nation east of Australia. And it's one of the most impressive eruptions in history. And it sent a wave of scalding ash and dust down the mountain. It's one of the most active volcanoes in the world, and it's erupted close to 50 times since 1774. So it's very dangerous for people who are living in the locality. Okay, here's the next one. It is Elepango volcano, and its last eruption was in 450 AD, and it was a 6+ on the scale. Although this mountain is in central El Salvador, it has experienced 2 eruptions in history. The first known eruption blanketed much of central and western El Salvador with pumice and ash and destroyed early Mayan cities, forcing inhabitants to flee. The summit's caldera, which is again where the top of the volcano collapses, is now home to one of El Salvador's largest lakes, which has filled the crater. Next we have, here's another one. Let's have a look. Huayna Patina. Okay, and this was a 6 on the scale. This peak was the site of South America's largest volcanic eruption in recorded history. The explosion sent mud flows as far as the Pacific Ocean, 75 miles away, and it appears to have affected the global climate, as the summers following the eruption in 1600 AD were some of the coldest in 500 years, and ash from the explosion buried a 20 square mile area, which remains blanketed to this day. Next, we have the Krakatoa volcano, which last erupted in 1883, and this was 6 on the scale. The explosive eruption of this stratovolcano ejected huge amounts of rock, ash, and pumice and was heard thousands of miles away. The explosion also created a tsunami whose maximum wave heights reached 40 meters and killed about 34,000 people. So even if those people weren't affected by the actual volcano, the outcome of that was this huge tsunami that was created because of the earthquake that would have been created from the eruption and made the tsunami, which ended up killing so many people. Okay, next one we have the Santa Maria volcano, which last erupted in 1902, and this was a 6 on the scale. The Santa Maria eruption in 1902 was one of the largest eruptions of the 20th century. The violent explosion in Guatemala came after the volcano had remained silent for roughly 500 years, and it left a large crater nearly a mile across. Okay, next one is the Novarupta volcano, which last erupted in 1912, and it was a 6 on the scale. And the eruption of Novarupta, which is one of a chain of volcanoes on the Alaska Peninsula, was part of the Pacific Ring of Fire, which we've talked about before. And it was the largest volcanic blast of the 20th century. The powerful eruption sent 3 cubic miles of magma and ash into the air, which fell to cover an area of 3,000 square miles in ash that was more than a foot deep. Okay, and I think this is our last one. This is Mount Pinatubo, and this last erupted in 1991, so not that long ago really, and this was a 6 on the scale. The eruption ejected more than 1 cubic mile of material into the air and created a column of ash that rose up to 22 miles into the atmosphere, so quite like the one in Pompeii where the ash went straight up into the air. And the ash fell across the countryside, even piling up so much that some roofs collapsed under the weight. And there you go. There are our 11 most powerful eruptions from the last 4,000 years. You can have a look back through this video if you want to add any to your volcano fact file. Really looking forward to having a look at your fact files if you've been able to do them. I've seen a couple already and they're really impressive. If you don't do one, it's not a big deal. I just hope that you've really enjoyed learning about volcanoes. Next week, we're taking our narrative on a little bit as our character Tranio grows up a little bit and has to go and find somewhere else to live. So, hope you have a lovely weekend, and I'll leave you with this volcanic eruption video here. Take care. Bye.